Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Welcome to crochet class number 18. Today we are going to make a perfect circle. We'll be making a 5-round circle for this tutorial, but I'll show you how to stop at whatever round you like, and also at the end of the video I'll show you how to keep going to make it any size you like. You also can't really see where we joined. It's nice and full, so I'll show you the little trick for doing that. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. And you don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I'm speaking in this video right now. And all you're going to need is some yarn. I'm using a 4 worsted weight acrylic for this tutorial. You also need a crochet hook. I'm using a 6mm. You will need a needle for sewing in your ends and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. Start by making a slip knot, just leaving a 2-inch tail. We don't need one very long. We're going to work over it and cut it off. So shrink down that slip knot and pop it onto your hook. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. To count your chains, you don't count what is on your hook and you don't count the knot. You just count these pretty little V's in between. So there is 1, 2, and 3, or you can just count from one side. So at the bottom side, there's 1, 2, and 3. We want to go into the very first chain we made, right on top of that slip knot. Well, push in your hook. Don't worry about how many loops you have on the top. Just push it in. And now we want to get ourselves situated. So we want to pull our tail down so that it is following along with our chain. And we want to make a little U shape, just like that. So now we're going to slip stitch through both loops. So grab your yarn and slip stitch through and hold it open with your finger and thumb. You don't want to let go of that. So slip stitch, still holding it open, and chain 2. 1 and 2. Now our chain does not count as any stitch for this tutorial. It just takes up a little bit of space. So wrap your yarn, and now we're going to go right into the center of that ring where we're holding it open and make 1 double crochet. And now we can let go of that center because that double crochet is going to be holding it open for us now. Just make sure you're going over your tail. And we want to do 11 more double crochets, so a total of 12 double crochets into the center of that ring, taking care to go over your tail. If you're not sure of your stitches, I will link the playlist for all of the beginning crochet classes in the cards up above. So you can pause the video and keep working along, making 12 double crochets into the center of your ring, taking care to go over your tail. So now you might run out of room before you finish your 12 double crochets, so just grab that chain or those stitches where you started and your last double crochet and just pull those double crochets back, and that'll give you some more space right along your chain. So now keep going, make your 12 double crochets. Now to count your double crochets, we're not counting that chain. That doesn't count for anything. We're just counting our real double crochets. And you can separate them with your fingers if you want to just pull them apart. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that is what we want. And now we're going to slip stitch to join right at the top of this first double crochet right here. So we're going to go underneath both strands of that V right here and make 1 slip stitch. And that finishes round 1. To start round 2, chain 2, 1 and 2. And now we're going to work right into that very first stitch right here. So right beside that chain. And again, our chain doesn't count for anything. And into each stitch for this round, we're going to be doing 2 double crochets into each stitch, or an increase into each stitch. So 2 double crochets into that first stitch, and 2 double crochets into each stitch going all the way around. So we started with 12 double crochets, and now we're going to end this row with 24 double crochets. So each stitch gets 2 double crochets. So there's 2, into the next stitch, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And now you can pause the video and keep working your way around, making 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started. So now back where we started, we have our chain into that next stitch. So now we can count our pairs. We want 12 pairs of double crochets, or 24 double crochets in total. So not counting this chain, just those 2 double crochets. So I just go around and there's 1, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs, 5 pairs, 6 pairs, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 pairs. And now to finish this round, we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first real double crochet right here. So just pop your hook in under those 2 loops of that V and slip stitch to join. And that finishes round 2. To start round 3, chain 2, 1 and 2. And again, our chain doesn't count for anything. It just fills in that little space when we're working our way around, so we don't have like a hole where we do our join. So now into that very first stitch right here, we're just going to do 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet into that first stitch right by the chain. And into the next stitch, we're going to do an increase. So into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. And into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. So how I remember what to do for round 3, I just count 1, that's for my double crochet, and then I say ink or increase. So I go increase. So that's 2 double crochets into that next stitch. So 1 and increase. So there's 1 and 2. So 2 double crochets are an increase. So you can pause the video and keep working your way around, doing a double crochet into one stitch and 2 double crochets into the next, all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started. When you get back to where we started, into the very last stitch, we should be on an increase. So I've just done 1 double crochet into the second to last stitch. Into the last stitch, it should be an increase. So increase 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So there is 36 double crochets for this round. So we're always adding 12 double crochets as our circle grows. And just make sure that you end on an increase. If you don't end on an increase, just go back and make sure that you still have the right stitch count. It's not going to make a total difference if you have an extra increase over here and you missed one on this side. As long as your stitch count is 36, it's going to be fine. So now go ahead, we're going to slip stitch right into the top of that first real double crochet to join. So put your hook in, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, and slip stitch to join. And that finishes round 3. To start round 4, chain 2, 1 and 2. And for round 4, we're going to make 1 double crochet into the first stitch and the second stitch. So wrap your yarn and into that first stitch, 1 double crochet. Wrap your yarn and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now into the third stitch, we're going to do our increase. So increase 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So for round 4, we can tell ourselves 1, so 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2, that's 1 double crochet into the second stitch, and then ink or increase. So that's 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So every third stitch for round 4 gets an increase. So 1, 2, ink or increase. So into the third stitch, 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, ink or increase. Increase into the third stitch. So now you can pause the video and keep working along, doing a double crochet, and an increase all the way along, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started. Now getting back closer to where we joined, I've just finished my increase. So then it'll be 1, 2, ink, and I'll finish with an increase. If you're not going to finish with an increase, just go back and make sure that you still have the right stitch count. For round 4, you want to have 48 double crochets. So to finish round 4, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of the first real double crochet. Just slide your hook under those 2 loops of that V and slip stitch. Chain 2, 1 and 2. And now for round 5, we're going to do double crochet into the first stitch right by that chain, and double crochet into the second, double crochet into the third, and increase into the fourth. So we're going to go 1 right into that stitch right by the chain, 2 into the next stitch, 3 into the next stitch. So that's just 1 double crochet into each of those stitches, and then ink or increase. So increase 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So for round 5, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and ink or increase. So there's 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So every 4th stitch gets an increase for round 5. So now you can pause the video and keep working your way along, doing 1, 2, 3, ink, 1, 2, 3, ink, 1, 2, 3, ink, all the way along, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we started. So now getting back to where we started, there's 4 stitches left, so that is our 1, 2, 3, and ink. We always want to end with that increase right before our chain. If yours doesn't line up like that, just go back and make sure you have the proper stitch count. You want 60 double crochets for this round or 12 increases. So there's ending with an increase, and we want to slip stitch the top of that first real double crochet to join. So just slide your hook in and slip stitch. And now to finish off, and this is how you'll finish off for any round, just do a chain 1. So that is a little knot on your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in, and pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. Sew in your tail, and you're finished. If you want to make your circle even larger, you'll just keep going, making 12 increases per round. So we just finished with a 1, 2, 3 ink. For the next row, row 6, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 ink. And the next row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ink. The next row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ink, etc., until your circle is the size you want it to be. So I hope you enjoyed this class as much as I did. There is a link to the playlist for all the classes in the description box down below. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click those buttons under this video right now. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next class. Stay hooked.